Wasabi guys, coming back at you with another video. This is going to be the top 10 Voltron commanders in the commander format. These are just my 10 favorite here, and I have them ordered from least favorited to the most favorited. So let's get on to the list here. Number 10, I have Skitter the Blight Dragon. Now everybody knows this dude. He's a badass. He's awesome. He looks cool. You know, he's 5 mana. He has, in fact, everybody knows him as the Infect Voltron Commander. The fact that he has the activated ability, pay 1 black and give him haste until end of turn, that is like that's an off-color ability that not a lot of commanders have that option. And when you talk about Infect being such a target, and you can get hated out of so many games just for playing this guy, and most people don't like it, and they have a right to not like Infect. It can get out of control and win games very quickly. All you really need is a good pump spell, and you just pay the black for haste, and suddenly you've won the game very early on. And Skitterix is just very difficult to deal with for some players, and it can seem unfair how early you can knock a player out of the game with Skitterix. And also being able to pay the 2 black and regenerate is not terrible either. Can sort of defend from removal, but it's a very good option if you want to make a mono black Voltron build. Number 9, we have the Mimeo Plasm. He's going to be combining 2 creatures from graveyards, whether it's yours or your opponent's. You're most likely going to be tailoring your deck to make it to where you have amazing creatures like, say, Death's Shadow. There's a lot of awesome creatures in this format like the Praetors that you can use and just get amazing combinations that you can turn the Mimeo Plasm into. And as well, that doesn't mean you can't play equipments and enchantments to buff them up there or give them protection or shroud or haste or whatever. Mainly with the Mimeo Plasm, the goal here is to get a massive, just overwhelmingly powerful creature, whether it's just straight up power toughness or with an amazing ability. Either way, he's going to be big and he's going to be pretty intimidating. Also has the downside of being kind of a target, but then again, a lot of Voltron commanders are targets. Another downside would be that he does take a bit of a setup to really get going. You obviously need cards like Entomb, Buried Alive to get going here as quickly as possible because he is quite a target. Number 8, I have Cigar, Host of Herons. Just ideally what you want with your Voltron commanders is you want some sort of protection built in there, and she does have hexproof, but even better is the fact that when she's on the field, your opponents can't do anything to force you to sacrifice permanents, which is just amazing because if you've ever played Voltron, one of the biggest drawbacks is the fact that you die to Grave Pact effects. You just lose the game to stuff like Fleshbag Marauders, and those types of effects can really just ruin your game and force you to have to constantly replay your commander in order to even have a chance. So the fact that she has that built-in ability, not only just the hexproof, but protecting you from having to sacrifice permanents, is incredible. And I don't think enough people consider her as a Voltron commander. She fits in pretty well with the whole green-white auras and enchantments deck build if you want to go that route. So that's just my recommendation. I think she's very effective, and just keywords alone, she's amazing. Number 7, I have one of her sisters here, Bruna Light of Alabaster. She is amazing. Enters the battlefield. You can put any auras on the battlefield attached to her anywhere on the battlefield, so your opponent's auras, anything like that, and you can as well put auras from your hand onto the battlefield attached to her. This is just incredible. Definitely, obviously ever since they got rid of the whole mulligan rule and now there's no more partial Paris or anything like that, it definitely made her a little bit worse. But I think when you consider the fact that you have a ton of auras and enchantments in this format that you can just fill your deck with, we have stuff like Eldrazi Conscription. We have enchantments that can give protection from creatures. We have just incredible auras in this format, and being able to just put them all attached to her, you can take away auras from other Voltron commanders and just make her massive. So very good, just a huge bonus here that you have that, built in, you have that synergy that not a lot of Voltron commanders have. They just have either good keywords or they just have, good value. But this, being able to synergize with enchantments directly is very good, and she's very effective. Number 6 is Kemba Cob Regent. You could also do cat tribal if you wanted to do that, but I mean, you're mainly going to be using this as a Voltron build. You're going to be equipping as many equipment spells as you can to her and just making her massive, but you want to equip as many as possible so you can get a ton of cat tokens during your upkeep with that trigger. You can obviously take advantage of things such as coat of arms, stuff like that. Definitely being able to take advantage of tokens and any sort of strategy associated with that. But with mono white, you just have a ton of artifact synergies and being able to search those up with stuff like Enlightened Tutor. We have a ton of, you have Stoneforge Mystics, we have cards that are in white, we have a lot of good artifacts to choose from, and we have a lot of artifact equipment synergies in white, so it definitely fits well with Kemba. And whether you decide to go the whole token route with her, it really shouldn't matter too much. I mean, she's definitely very powerful if you want to play the whole let's just equip as many possible equipments as we can to her and just see where we go from there and just get a ton of cat tokens. So definitely you can combine sort of a Voltron aspect with a token build, which is very unique, that you don't really have that option with a lot of Voltron commanders of being able to grow an army at the same time, and I think that's what makes her unique and very interesting. Number 5 is Ergo Helm Smasher. This guy is just pure aggression. He has the haste and he's indestructible as long as it is your turn. And he's a 7/2, so obviously you definitely need to have that indestructibility there. But the cool thing about him too is the fact that he's 5 mana for 7 power with haste. If you get off to a really good start here, you ramp up. I mean, we're talking turn 3 or 4 here that you could get a Zergo out swinging and just start knocking players out of the game earlier and earlier. Definitely a cool thing about him is that he is in Mardu colors, and Mardu colors has a shit ton of removal, man. We're talking your Wrath of Gods, the Damnations, just a load of removal spells that you can play on your turn and just start swinging in uncontested with Zergo and dealing a ton of commander damage. So not really much needs to be said about him. He's just pure aggression, and sometimes you don't really have to overthink it. Just start swinging, man. Number 4, I have Narset Enlightened Master. Now, she may very well just be the most powerful Voltron commander on this list. However, I feel that she's not too involved. There's not a lot of reasons to put equipments on her, because most of the time when you swing with her, if your deck is built right, you should be able to win within the first 2 swings. If not, then it might cost you a bit more money to build your deck. But definitely just the most powerful and the most capable of winning early on, especially in the multiplayer format. The biggest weakness to Voltron commanders is their inability to finish games as quickly as they would want to. You always have that struggle here. It's not 1v1, it's multiplayer, and with Narset you kind of get around that with being able to have an alternative. Oh, I'm going to be taking extra turns. Oh, I'm going to be getting extra combats, and I'm just going to eventually get to the point where my Narset is going to be swinging for just massive amounts of damage. I'm either going to be giving her protection or some sort massive just boost with something like an Eldrazi conscription, something like that, and just very powerful Voltron commander. Number 3 is Rafik of the Many. Now, very perfect for the whole Voltron style here with the Exalted. Attacking alone kind of suits this deck here because you want to get double strike, you want to get the Exalted trigger as well, and Rafik is a boss. Now, you don't necessarily have to play a pure Voltron build. You can obviously just put in some good creatures in there as well, and he's also very good as one of the 99 in something like Derevi, any type of deck where you can benefit, maybe even something like a Progenitus. If you can kill players off quicker, why not? Definitely good in any other sort of Voltron build that's also playing Bant colors. He's just very aggressive as well, and usually with the strategy of Exalted and Double Strike, you also want to win the game within the first couple swings, so you could definitely start knocking out players with this commander. Just aggressive and good keywords. I mean, Exalted and Double Strike. That gets around a lot of things. Your opponents, there's not many options that they have for blocking, because Double Strike and Exalted, that's just going to get around so many different creatures. Number 2 is Aural the Miststalker. very good, very similar to Cigar in terms of having that built-in protection there, as well as Narset. But the main reason why I say Cigar is because of the ability to make an enchantment and aura heavy deck and just benefit from it. But Aural benefits even more because you have the whole pump. Whenever you have an aura attached to him, he gets +2/+2 for each one. He gets bigger, he gets better auras attached to him. He becomes a pain in the ass to deal with because he has the hexproof. Not many people can deal with that, so you do need to rely on things like board wipes to get rid of these commanders. And definitely when it comes to Voltron, anytime you have a Voltron commander with built-in hexproof or shroud or anything like that, definitely going to win you a lot of games for the sheer fact that not many people are prepared to deal with something like that. A lot of decks prefer targeted removal, or a lot of decks just overlook just wrath spells because they might be too expensive, but really in the end they become one of the only ways that you can deal with a guy like Aural. And getting just a massive creature just for equipping maybe a few auras, I mean, that's +6/+6 right there. So just out of this world powerful, and there's so many auras to choose from in Naya colors, just amazing, and one of my favorite Voltron options as well. Number 1 is Zur the Enchanter. Now Bruna synergizes with enchantments, he synergizes with enchantments as well, and although it is 3 mana or less in Esper colors, you have a huge amount of options to choose from. You have your Necropotences, you could go your Rhystic Studies, you could even play Solemnity, one of the newer cards. You could play Steel of the Godhead. There's just a ton of options to choose from with this dude here, and being able to search these up when you attack, you have that element of surprise that not too many other commanders have, and I think Narset's very similar too. But with Zur the Enchanter, you just have he's very well known as well. I mean, most people do know that he's that win very quickly if not dealt with. There are locks associated with him. There are ways to just shut down your opponents very easily, and he can get out of control quickly if not dealt with. And the fact that he's also a flyer, he's built-in evasion there, very problematic, and definitely a fun build around commander, especially with the synergies with enchantments. And Esper enchantments are just so plentiful. I mean, you have a ton of options to choose from, ranging from just control options to auras to anything that can help you win the game with Zur. Really, that's what it comes down to, is just winning the game as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. And Zur does that really well, and that's why I have him as number 1 on this list here. So guys, let me know what you would have on your top 10. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it. Help support the channel. Check out my other top 10 videos if you haven't already. Anyway, Void here signing off. You guys have a wonderful day.